Red Bull's Max Verstappen produced a dominant performance to ease the victory at the Spanish Grand Prix as Lewis Hamilton and George Russell completed the podium in an improved Mercedes display. The World Championship leader led from start to finish after topping all three practice sessions and qualifying at Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, eventually finishing 25 seconds clear of Hamilton. The victory, which came at an additional point as Verstappen set the fastest lap in the final stages, extended his World Championship lead to 53 points over Sergio Perez, who recovered to fourth after starting 11th. While they were no match for Verstappen, Mercedes showed massive improvements in their heavily upgraded car. The W14 clearly second fastest on the track and comfortably pulled clear of Carlos Sainz, who finished fifth. Although also unable to match Mercedes were Aston Martin, with Lance Stroll finishing sixth and in front of Fernando Alonso for the first time this season, with Spaniard seventh after a challenging weekend at his home race. Esteban Ocon maintained Alpine's recent upturn in form to finish eighth, while teammate Pierre Gasly took the final point after Yuki Tsunoda took a 5-second penalty for impeding Zhou Guanyu, who claimed an impressive night. Verstappen's win extends Red Bull's streak to 7 victories to start the season, with a Dutchman in imperious form as he marches towards his third title. And after emerging victorious in Monaco last weekend, at a track where Red Bull were expected to face their stiffest challenge of the 2023 stake, Verstappen was always expected to be particularly difficult to beat at this more traditional circuit. Those predictions were accurate as the Dutchman came through the weekend to claim victory with plenty to spare. The most pressure he faced was from Ferrari's Sainz at the first corner, but he overcame what appeared to be a slightly inferior start to hold the lead and cruise into the distance, having not even needed a second run in the final part qualifying to secure pole. On Saturday, he once more appeared to have plenty in hand, once again showing his true pace in the closing stages to seal the extra point. I had the harder compound, so I knew it was going to be tricky, he said after the race. Going around the outside at turn 1, it was always quite difficult, but luckily nothing happened. We had another strong weekend, and that's what I like to see myself in front of the team, so hopefully we keep that throughout the year. And the most jeopardy he faced was a black and white flag for exceeding track limits on 3 separate occasions, but the 5-second penalty would never come, and it didn't make any difference. With Verstappen having now claimed 5 victories in the opening 7 races of the season, the RB19 appearing unbeatable, it will begin to shift whether they can match or better the 15 wins he scored in 22. But after the calling off the Imola GP due to flooding in northern Italy earlier this month, Mercedes were left to wait their debut upgrades in Monaco at the unique circuit. It was nearly impossible to assess the changes. As a result, there was major anticipation coming to Barcelona to see how the W14 would perform after the team abandoned its zero-pod concept and also added a new fuel, rear suspension and diffuser. It had been unclear until Sunday how much progress had been made, but the results brought exactly what Hamilton had been hoping for after the frustration of early season, where he admitted he was counting the days until the upgrade. Starting from 4th, Hamilton passed Norris into the first corner and then faced a major moment of jeopardy as an McLaren made contact with the rear of the Mercedes, which was slowed to avoid a collision with Sainz in front. Fortunately for Hamilton, it was Norris who came off worse, with front wing damage, forcing McLaren to pit after dropping him into the last, instantly undoing a brilliant qualifying. Hamilton appeared momentarily unsettled and was overtaken by Stroll behind him, but reassured that there was no damage to his car, retook the place and set about catching Sainz. It was ultimately a non-contest. He aged past Sainz on lap 28 before enjoying a comfortable second half of the race to claim just the second podium of the season. Delighted, Hamilton said, "We definitely didn't expect the result, so we had to see. So it's just a really big to take my hat off to the team and say a big thank you to everyone working in the factory as we continue to get a bit closer to the Bulls. They are still a bit ahead, but we'll keep chasing them down. This is an amazing result." Russell had looked out of sorts with the upgraded car and could only qualify 12th, but got a perfect start, jumping 5th place and crucially avoided any penalty for going off the track in the opening corners. For then, how his pace was similarly strong to Hamilton's, and he made past Alonso Ocon and Sainz to move behind his teammate. Perez, his progress from 11th on the grid was more steady, threatened to challenge Russell in the closing stages, but ultimately didn't quite have enough and finished 3 seconds behind the Brits. With Alonso claiming 5 out of 6 podiums so far, F1's surprise package this year, Aston Martin has huge optimism coming into Spanish home race that he could challenge. An error in the first part of qualifying saw him damage his floor, which limited his performance for the remainder of the session as he finished 8th behind teammate Stroll for the first time this season. While Aston Martin said ahead of the race the floor had been repaired, Alonso was unable to find the pace that made the Red Bull's closest challenges early on. Unable to match the Mercedes cars, Perez and Sainz, Alonso was left to settle for 7th, following a late overtake on former Alpine teammate Ocon. That left him directly behind Stroll, but he said he wouldn't reverse positions. Stroll, whose father Lawrence is team owner, will hope to build on, finishing ahead of Alonso, with scrutiny like to be on him ahead of his home race in 2 weeks' time. Leclerc started from the pits after an abysmal Saturday, which saw him qualifying 19th before accepting a pit lane start, having made changes to a Ferrari that he said something was off with. Inspections from the team found nothing wrong with the SF23, who were also debuting significant upgrades and changes to his setup, along with an air gearbox, which appeared to make little difference on Sunday. He made inroads to make significant early inroads, but ultimately didn't have the pace to overcome Gasly for the final points position. Having started the season as driver the most expected to challenge Verstappen, Leclerc is 7th in the driver's standing after 7 races, with his third scoreless weekend of the season. And before I go, let me run you through the classification. Max Verstappen obviously picking up the win. Dominant performance from him. But I think the main story was Mercedes. Huge upturn from form from them. We saw this at Canada last year, so not going to get my hopes up too much there, but hopefully this is the start of it. Perez in 4th, disappointing. He really should have been beating Russell, and Verstappen dominating in the form he's in. You kind of feel it's championship over. Sainz in 5th, probably a good result for him, best he could have achieved, outperforming Leclerc quite comfortably. And then you got Stroll beating Alonso. Stroll probably didn't have the pace to beat Alonso, but could be good for his confidence to beat him. We'll have to see. Ocon once again picking up good points for Alpine. Gasly as well, probably disappointing not to beat Zhou, but Zhou one of my stars of the race is hugely impressive from him to get that position. So credit to him. And then you got Leclerc finishing outside the points. Just a hugely disappointing weekend. Just didn't have the pace. Just a poor weekend from Leclerc. Obviously presuming they don't find an issue. Then you got Tsunoda in 12th. Probably disappointing for him to miss out on the points, but he was close enough again. Piastri 13th. Just a disappointing weekend for McLaren. Didn't have the pace despite Norris's star performance. Over the qualifying. De Vries in 14th was close to Tsunoda again, but just wasn't quite at his pace. Then you got Hulkenberg 15th. On the whole, just a disappointing weekend for Haas really, with Magnussen 18th, didn't really have the pace. Albon 16th, poor weekend, didn't for Williams as well, just didn't have the pace that we've seen. Same with Sargent 20th. Norris kind of already touched him, kind of his mistake, and such a shame to want to do good qualifying, but to be honest, not sure how many points he would have got. Bottas in 19th, I think he said he had floor damage, but not a great weekend from him, and kind of in the end was just doing the number 2 role for Zhou Guanyu, helping him ensure that he could finish in the points positions. But anyway, guys, that's it really. Thanks very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and lots of comments for daily F1 news. Subscribe to the channel, it's going to be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.